finally, in some deep, weird conspiracy theory news, I got the papers right here now. We got proof that Scorpion's Klaus Meine denies window change written by the CIA. It is a CIA black op. I have the papers right here. Okay.
Now, to preface this is all coming up because the opposite of Alex Jones, a very corporate, slickly produced podcast called Wind of Change, put out by this like investigative reporter that writes for the New Yorker.
Yeah, one of those like NPR kind of guys.
It's a very NPR voice podcast.
Hello, we have a podcast down there.
You can't even do that. You can't even do this. You can't even do the voice.
The voice kind of goes like this, doesn't it?
It's not nerdy enough. Your voice is too low.
Maybe we have
That's too nerdy.
Yeah, I can't do it. I have to do more research on that.
You should work on that impression.
I'm going to be the NPR
I hate
guy.
that voice, though.
I'm going to do the whole podcast in the NPR voice once I learn it.
So, this is the kind of guy who did this is the exact opposite of Alex Jones. Like, he was talking about how he was living in D.C. and he has a friend who, was like a contractor for the U.S. government or something. And the real story is that he, is someone who works as a recruiter for ex-CIA spies. Help them to get jobs when they're the kind of spies who can't even say they worked for the CIA. So they have these fake resumes.
Right.
So he helps them get jobs when they leave the CIA.
Right, because it's so deep they can't even put that on their resume.
Yes, where they're not allowed to say.
So like Pete Buttigieg and stuff like that, and things like they like had that and they had to get their thing. Yeah.
Okay. So, and he, I guess, leaked to this journalist the idea that Wind of Change, the iconic Scorpions ballad,
it brought down the wall along with Rocky IV,
was a CIA psy-op written by the CIA for the purpose of,
bringing down the wall,
propaganda,
bringing down the wall,
defeating communism,
the wall. Take me to the beginning of the moment of the glory night and the children of tomorrow.
I tried to listen to this podcast.
Yeah, it was bad.
I had to stop because it became glaringly obvious
that there was a hoax.
That if this psy-op is true, this podcast itself is a psy-op of the psy-op.
That's crazy. I got the papers
Just
right here.
like how they released those UFO pictures, and that was probably a psy-op.
Distraction.
It's misdirection.
I got the papers right here.
The CIA is behind this as well.
Now the CIA.
This podcast is not. It's the opposite of Alex Jones.
Wow, would the U.S. Navy release pictures of UFOs coincidentally during a worldwide pandemic? I mean.
Exactly. And now we have another thing here. But also, this thing reinforces the CIA's power, and it's like the CIA is so insidious that it's infecting everything, and it's coming at you from all angles.
Yes.
It has songwriters. CIA has songwriters.
Yes, they are writing.
And they're writing good songs.
In 1989.
Also, I couldn't listen to podcasts because I couldn't listen to the NPR voice. Just kind of like doing that like very dry, making fun of the Scorpions.
Can you try to do the NPR voice?
No, I can't do I'm not the impressions person.
I'm going to look it up.
It's like Terry Gross.
Yeah.
Or you should listen to the podcast. You should listen to a bit of Wind of Change.
Yeah, I'll listen to it.
And it's perfect. There you go. But
I didn't think I should go that deep into this.
I couldn't listen to this guy, this very smug guy talking about the Scorpions and like these guys aren't a young band. I went to a show in the Ukraine. And they had all these crazy Europeans there, and they were all so excited to see Scorpions. And I was like, why do you like them? And they were all like, oh, hurricane.
You're right, rock you like hurricane.
It's just like making fun of these people and making fun of Scorpions.
He's an elitist. He thinks he's better than them.
Oh, yes. Okay.
He's like, look at these metal boomers.
He calls them ridiculous.
You want to see ridiculous? You want to see ridiculous, mister? You go to an Insane Clown Posse show. Or you go to a Nickelback show. Or you go to whatever that fucking Phil Labonte band was. You go to that show, right? That's ridiculous. I'll show you ridiculous. Okay, so they interviewed on that podcast. They interviewed.
Yes, he talked to Scorpions.
Yeah, he actually got.
He's got all the access.
Klaus Meine. So obviously he's a powerful guy. He's not some guy like me trying to like.
No, he's like he's got a book. That's the thing. It's like it's a conspiracy theory coming from this establishment guy. It's
right.
Like
you think the whole thing would be a joke, but it's clearly not. Like it's gonna be like some sort of ironic. Just sometimes I'll make these podcasts. Like I've listened to podcasts that were big productions. One of them was about like where did Richard Simmons go? And spoiler alert, they found Richard Simmons. He was just hiding in his house. He didn't want to fucking talk to anyone. He didn't want to deal with you fucking fat asses anymore. And there was another one that did this thing on how some guy wrote this book that was a sequel to Rocky IV, and they tried to like pin him as this like big a ghostwriter that like wrote all these masterpieces, but like he was like this unknown writer, and they couldn't find him, and it turned out it was just a big hoax. And it turns out the guy making the podcast was onto the joke the whole time. Like it's just shit like that. That's what I thought maybe something like this was. It was just like a joke.
No, it's very serious.
We're serious about this. They're like really trying to do some investigative reporting.
Yes. The moment I stopped listening was when he mentioned that one of the Pod Save guys produced it.
Yeah, those guys.
That's enough.
You know where it comes. You know what it is. You know how it is with them. So here's a little extra. In the middle of the interview, they asked Klaus Meine, Klaus, you ever heard a story that Wind of Change was written by the CIA? They asked him this out of kind of nowhere, I guess. And I cracked up laughing. I totally cracked up laughing. I said to him, so my friend, you think you make interview as songwriter, or you think you make interview as spy? This is like English second language stuff, I guess. You make interview?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Just hearing Klaus. I don't know. I imagine Klaus Meine talks like this. I don't really know how he talks.
That's another thing. Like he kept on talking about and it's weird that they sing in English. It's like every big international band sings like English. You fucking dolt.
Scorpions have been singing English since their early 70s.
He's like, and they're not even big in America, so they're mostly singing in English to people who don't even speak English. But those people don't speak German, you fucking idiot. So they're gonna sing in English. God,
made all their biggest hits in America. Scorpions have been around.
But he's talking about like now. He's saying like, oh, now.
Well, they're old man rock now. Like, Scorpions has a huge part in metal. Like, obviously the Shanker brothers came from there. Like they have UFO. Like it's just a great band. Scorpions is a band that I never until recently understood was such an awesome band. Like my favorite, of course, are their Uli John Roth years, late 70s. I think every music guy says, oh, I like their Uli John Roth, but it's true. The Uli John Roth years are the best.
But Klaus clearly in on the psy-op, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, of
denies
course.
Everything.
Like when the CIA swears you to secrecy, you stay in secrecy. That was, even though this was like 1989 when they did this, 1988, 1989. Like you still, he's still under the gun, literally.
Yeah.
Like there's
but his official response.
Let's see. This one right here. I thought this was very amusing. Just got cracked up laughing. It's very entertaining. That was a really crazy story. But I said, it's not true at all. Like you American guys say, it is fake news. Like you say, that Trump says, the fake news. This is the fake news. Yeah. That's what he's going to say. That's what he's going to say.
So he obviously would deny it if it was true.
Of course. What would he be like? Oh, no, this is, yes, actually they did. But it made us a lot of money either way. Like who would get the royalties? The song is still.
Yeah, C.I.A. is not going to get the money.
Yeah, there's a funny cartoon they made. They made it using Mortal Kombat characters. Scorpions, the Scorpion Mortal Kombat character. It's a funny video. Look it up. Scorpion, Mortal Kombat.
What do you think of this?
Do you
think it's true?
Of course, it's true. I have the papers right here. Of course.
Do you really think it's true?
See right here, Black Ops. I don't know. No.
I wanted to listen to the whole podcast to get like an opinion, but I couldn't physically listen to it.
Yeah.
And it's like 8 hours of content. And it's like, no.
Yeah. If you want to make up some fake story, then you at least make your podcast interesting. Unlike me.
It was interesting. It was just unbearable.
Yeah, it was like Waterworld, the podcast. It was like Nickelback of the podcast. Yeah.
I was like, I just overdosed on smugness listening to it. And
I gotta learn that voice because I'm gonna do the podcast in that voice.
No.
Well, this is an interesting story,
Oh yeah.
She says it was almost like one of those Netflix series.
We're getting
it really
a look behind the curtain here.
Yeah, it's the Iron Curtain, the former Iron Curtain, which this song helped open. This song and Rocky IV, in my own theory, helped bring down, and David Hasselhoff, when he stood on top of the Berlin Wall, came down.
Those are all psyops.
If we could change, you could change. We can all change. That's what Rocky said after he beat Ivan Drago. We could change, you could change. We can all change.
I mean, if the CIA wrote then they definitely wrote that.
They wrote Rocky 4 for sure. With the help of Sylvester Stallone, because Sylvester Stallone, he's patriot, he's Rambo, right? So, he Wall and David Hasselhoff as well. David Hasselhoff got on top of that wall. Look it up. Look up the footage. He got on top of that wall and he was singing a song called Freedom. He was like, freedom, yeah, talking about freedom. And he was standing on top of the wall, the remains of this crumbling wall in front of the German people, which he is also of German descent, and the German people love him, and he helped bring down that wall. And now we have something. We have East Germany. I don't know. East Germany's still a scary place, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah. Berlin. I wouldn't like to go to Berlin. It seems like a shitty place.
I haven't heard that.
This seems like a shitty,
You're casting aspersions.
It's not as nice as people think Europe is. I think it's like the shittiest city in Europe.
I have not heard that.
Berlin.
I'm sure it's definitely not the shittiest city in Europe.
Yeah, maybe London's. I don't know. I heard it's like, it's not.
It's probably a smaller city that you wouldn't necessarily think of, like Zagreb or something.
Zagreb. In Slovakia, is that? In Hungary?
In Croatia.
Zagreb. Yes. The child, yes. I am from Scalper. He's from Zagreb.
All right. Let's wrap it up.
That's all, people.